Hey Mike Amber and everyone at Mike's Lessons. For all the new students, my name is Tino and I've been with Mike for about 14 months now. Having lots of fun, and Mike, I just want to say thanks for the video review last week. The reason why you didn't hear any beat displacement is because I confused the terms with the private lesson material you gave me, which was actually supposed to be the sticking substitutions, so I apologize for that. But I thank you for taking the time to watch our videos and correct our mistakes and give us tips. And I really find that to be highly beneficial. It kind of closes the loop between teacher-student. So yeah, I would say that's probably, if not the most important, one of the most important aspects of your service. So I'm sure most people would agree with that. And before I waste anyone's time, this video won't have any drums or anything like that. This is a response to Carmelo, Anthony, and Dimitrij, who were asking about my drum sound and recording in general. So I won't be speaking for Mike or on his behalf. He does things his own way. He gets an incredible drum sound, so I don't know how he gets a sound. You'll have to ask him and direct those questions to Mike, but I can, offer some suggestions and tips that might get you closer. Anthony was asking about some books to read. I really don't read any of the audio material. I don't buy any books or that sort of thing anymore. Most of what I've learned was from courses I've taken in the past or audio magazines when I was younger. But most of the material that I've learned, you can pick up off the internet through YouTube or searching through your web browser. So, or just talking to people. But most of the time, it's trial and error. A lot of this stuff is setting up microphones, trying different settings, mic placements, angling the microphone, everything right down to how the room is built, the shape of the room, everything affects the sound. So no matter what anyone tells you, your experience is going to differ, even down to your speakers. I mean, the way your speakers produce the sound will affect how you EQ and mix your drums. So it's there's some guidelines you can follow, but everything you learn is going to come from trial and error and actually getting onto your mixing board or software. The only book that I can really recommend is this one that I had back in college. It's Audio and Media. It's quite old. It talks about tape machines and 8-track. Not very modern stuff here, but it goes over the types of microphones, when to use them, how to use them, EQ settings, how EQs work, hardware like compressors and effects and that sort of thing. So it's called Audio and Media, and the author is Stanley Alton. I'm not even sure if you can get this anymore, but if you're interested, I can give you the ISBN number, and you can look it up. Another thing is, people have been asking about the software. I use Cubase. I have the Essential version here. I've upgraded mine, so if anyone's interested in getting a deal on Cubase software, get in touch with me through the email or Mike's Lessons profile. Just pay for shipping, and I'll give you a good deal on the package itself. It's pretty much showroom condition. It comes with all the manuals and the software key. It's a USB code key, so make sure you have a USB port on your computer. And from here, I'm just going to go into answering Anthony's question about setting up multiple outputs on his Cubase. And Carmelo had some interest in how I get my kick drum sound, and Dimitrij wanted to know about mic placement in general, miking techniques. So Hope you find it interesting. And if you want to know more, just get in touch with me. I love talking about this stuff. It's, probably second rank to drums as far as my interests and hobbies. So I'm all up for talking about it, and be happy to help anyone at Mike's Lessons. So we'll talk to you soon. I was wondering if you would be interested in hosting a clinic with Bruce or yourself and talking about recording drums, your studio setup, or how Bruce sets up his gear to record drums. I'm pretty sure you get quite a bit of interest from the students based on the discussions and emails flying around about recording. Even help out some of the newer students with setting up their cameras and getting a better sound. So I'd be there for sure, and I'm sure you would have a big crowd watching that clinic. Let me know your thoughts, and maybe if enough people show interest by emailing you, that you may consider doing that as a Saturday lesson or something, a Saturday clinic. Okay, this section is for Anthony. I'm going to explain how to set up your multiple outputs in Cubase. First thing you want to do is access the configuration window by clicking F4 on your keyboard, and it brings up this screen. I already have the inputs set here, and I'm just going to click on the output tab up here, and you see I have listed 4 separate outputs. They're stereo, so there's 8 channels, and they're grouped into 2. So you have a stereo mix on 4 separate faders. And what I do is, once you have your mixer drivers listed, you can access them by clicking on the audio device, and all your drivers will be listed here. So you should see your mixer listed. If you don't see it, you'll have to reinstall your drivers. So once you set that to active, then it will show up here in this listing. And all you have to do to set up and access additional inputs is hit the hit the add bus, and it's going to ask you how many outputs you want. And in your case, I think you wanted 2 stereo outputs, so just make sure stereo is highlighted, and then click 2. So by doing this on mine, it's just going to add 2 more stereo outputs, but I'm not going to click OK. It's just going to mess everything up. So if you click OK, you should have at least 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can go ahead and save that by clicking the Store button. It's the folder with the plus sign, and you can name it anything you want. Just type the name here and click OK. And next time you go in, if you want a custom configuration, you'll just access whatever your custom name is here. Okay, so once you have all that set up, you can save it as a template instead of resetting all your mixer views and dial settings. Cubase allows you to go to your file menu and then go Save As, and it comes up with the template window, and just type a meaningful name there and click OK. And that, like I say, is essentially, it saves all your level settings, your EQ settings, your output, your input, and it's basically a one-click setup for a custom configuration, and you're off to recording right away. So there's the project window. When you hit New Project, you'll see your template listed, and the one I was just showing you is called Direct UX8. I have different ones for recording with my band or just my drums for doing online videos for Mike. So that's how you set everything up quick. And I can show you another way to use your outputs instead of using like a main mix. When you click F3, you bring up your mix review, And you'll see when you scroll over to the right that the 4 outputs I had listed are showing up here with the faders. And you can set them up any way you want. You can have one going to your main stereo speakers, one to a headphone mix. You can set up separate mixes for recording to, let's say, your bass player or guitar player, so they can only hear certain instruments. Whatever, the sky's the limit there. And now I'll show you how to set up an auxiliary send. If you want to use the output for a specific channel, instead of sending an entire mix to a headphone, you can send a specific track. In this case, I've brought up the 10-inch tom. So let's say I wanted the bass player to hear just the 10-inch tom in his mix. I would go to Output. I'm going to select Stereo Out 3. And that's going to send the tom to the Stereo 3. I have it set up in 2 as well. So whoever's listening on Output 2 and whoever's listening on Output 3 is going to hear the tom. And what I'm doing now is I'm adjusting the level, and that sets up the individual send, and then you use the main fader to control the volume globally. So you can set your premix there and your auxiliary sends, and then use the master fader to bring everything down. Okay, so if you have any other questions about that, you can email me. And it's pretty straightforward once you get into the Cubase software, and once your drivers are set up, you can pull up the faders. They'll come up on the screen automatically, and then it's pretty intuitive from there. But yeah, if you have any other questions, email me or just catch me online during the lesson.